to round 15 and a half. I'm Keith Anderson, and with me is the General Manager of the Gippsland League, Chris Amelis, to have a look at briefly last week's matches, this weekend's matches coming up, and a few other things that might be happening around the league.
Yeah. How are you, Keith?
Oh, very good, Chris.
That's good. All right. If we start off with the games that were played, Wonthaggi Moe.
Yeah, well, pretty big win for Wonthaggi. Still got their injury issues. I went through their team list from last weekend, and they've still got a lot of guys missing. They swung Lucas White down to full forward last week, and he delivered with 8 goals, and I suppose if you put him at full back he'd do a good job too, but he's such a good player. But it was an important win. They'd lost 4 in a row. You expect them to beat Moe anyway. They'll make the finals, and I just don't think the others that statistically may have a chance will get there. No, yeah. They can't.
Yeah, well, and I think I was speaking to the Wonthaggi president last week, and they were looking forward to this break. They had a couple of players, Earl Shaw, etc., that they're hoping with an extra week off that they can come in 16, 17 up, 18 round, and then they'll be cherry ripe for the finals. So it couldn't have come at a better time, this break. Anyway, then we go to the Leongatha Warragul game, which you and I attended. And for the first half, it was a terrific game, very competitive.
Yeah, probably until about the last 10 minutes of the game. Now, I know Leongatha have had their problems with a few injuries, but they've got a few back now. They've put together 4 wins in a row. I don't think they can make the 5 either, even though some of their people over there were still looking optimistically towards that after Saturday's game. But Warragul had a couple of big losses on the morning of the match. Their captain Matt Gray and Chris Carey, the other ruckman, both had to withdraw, and that certainly had an effect. They just tired at the finish. Warragul Leongatha a little bit fitter, ran over them, and eventually got to a good win. But it was, I thought the first half was really entertaining footy. Had a couple of little dust-ups. The sides were dead set serious. A couple of little dust-ups and some good footy played, and good competitive footy. And it was just that Warragul couldn't go on with it late in the game.
And that Cade Maskell, Nagel, they kicked 6 each. Hilberg 3, and they were just too strong in the air up forward. But I thought the 2 ruckmen that played in place of Carey and Matty, they actually acquitted themselves very well.
Well, Ben Bowman had been playing basketball in Canada up until a month ago, and has been back and had 2 or 3 games in the reserves, and he came in and, just a talented athlete, you could see that, but I thought his skills were very good for a bloke who hasn't played much footy. And Josh Akazu did a very good job as his support. So, but Leongatha did have their number 1 ruckman out as well, and he's out for the season, Jason Tamata. But yeah, it was I sort of thoroughly enjoyed, particularly the first half. And every time I see that Cade Maskell, he just goes up in my estimations. I think he's an excellent player.
Now, whilst we're on Leongatha, I made a comment about the Leongatha Football Club last week, and I had young Benny Getz come up to me after the game, and he felt that he'd taken offence to that comment. So, look, to the Leongatha people, I certainly didn't mean to be offensive, and I apologise for that remark. And Benny, I'm just so glad that you're actually an avid watcher of our YouTube. So I hope you take that on board, mate.
Oh, that sounds like straight out of the AFL script. I'd like to apologise to my club and my teammates and all the supporters that I've let down. What a load of rubbish.
Oh, look, it's fair enough. If people take offence, we've got to be very careful what we say. Now, Sale hosted Bairnsdale on the Sunday, and this was Bairnsdale's last chance, but they ended up having a few out, and unfortunately for them, Sale came out 6-5 in the first quarter and ended up 23-12 to 7-16, which has put an end to Bairnsdale's finals aspiration for this season.
Yeah, well, it wasn't just they had a few out, they were very important outs, and it was a real shame for them in what was such a big game.
Yes.
But, you know, Sale just keeps rolling along, and gee, yeah, it's hard not to think they won't be there in the big day in September.
Okay, we'll go on to the rest of the games. There's 2 games this week, and we'll start off with the big blockbuster because this is a very important match. Mafra hosting Terrelgan, and this should be a blockbuster, and they'll be coming from everywhere to watch these two because there's 2 very important positions, a double chance in the final. So, what do you think there, Mafra Terrelgan, Keith?
Yeah, well, I think they'll get a big crowd, and Sale's not playing, and I'm sure there'll be a fair entourage from Sale across there too.
And probably charging double for Sale people to come to Mafra.
Yeah, they'll have to sit in the outer. It will be a great game, this one, and Mafra won at Terrelgan earlier in the year. I think Terrelgan are a fair bit better side now than they were at that stage. Mafra, you know, some days really good, other days disappoint. They lost to Moore in the previous round, only by a bit over a couple of goals, but they're roundabout, so I reckon this is a toss-up. I don't think home ground advantage plays a part. I think it's often an overrated factor in games. You just got to get the ball first, and I just think it'll be a good, tough, hard game. I don't think we'll see any fancy scores in this. It might be, 13 goals to 11 or something like that. I think it'll just be a pretty tight game. I don't really know who's going to win this. I think it's just who gets that first.
Well, you've got a couple of important players. Mafra's got Carl Porter, who's been on fire all year, and young Tim North at Terrelgan. So, but I don't know if they'll line up on each other. That sort of doesn't happen these days. But those 2 are very important players for their clubs, and the on-ball brigade of both teams is very good.
Yeah, I think they're both very well balanced, strong sides across all parts of the ground, and I think for the people who get along there, they should see Gippsland League footy at its best.
Okay, we have Druin versus Morwell, and we've got a bit of news-breaking events that have happened at Druin.
What's Morwell forfeited?
I don't know, do you want to break that news to our avid viewers, Keith?
Well, it will be announced. This is Tuesday night when we're putting this together, but it will be announced after training tonight that Druin's coach, Robert John, stepping down after the next 2 games. He has gained employment in Saudi Arabia, of all places, and is leaving to go there starts there between round 16 and round 17. So he is stepping down after those next 2 games. Eric Bott, the president at the moment, will relinquish presidential duties to past president Steve Ellison, and will guide the side for the last 2 rounds. So
he's the guide or the coach?
The coach.
The coach.
Coach, guide, whatever they want. Yeah.
Okay, so what are their chances this week against that strong Morwell side?
Not many, to put it blunt. I just think, and the Druin supporters, of which I'm one, we just like to see them there and put in a really competitive effort. You can't deny their
endeavour.
Their endeavour, yeah. They're out there giving him a go, just a bit short on talent, and if he's recovered from a fortnight ago when he finished up in Ioneer Hospital, Brenton Lockhart is due to play his 100th game. But I suppose it'll be later in the week before we know that. But anyway, well done.
Yeah, no, that's a great effort.
I'm tipping Morwell.
You're tipping Morwell. Just. All right. Okay, so again, we mentioned before we'd journeyed over to Leongatha last week to watch the Leongatha Warragul match, and after the game we went into the golf club because Leongatha were holding their big auction night, which is their big fundraiser for the year, and we went over to the rooms and just enjoyed the social activities. But we were very fortunate in running into two important people, Banger Holt, ex-full forward Dwayne Holt, an avid watcher of Dexter, so I was able to catch up on what episode we're up to. And Banger, he's still receiving treatment. He has to go to hospital 3 times a week, but he looked very good and he spoke very well, and it was quite enjoyable catching up with him.
Yeah, he did, and as he said, he gets a lot of time to watch telly at the moment, which is unfortunate, but he's got treatment into sort of the first part of next year, but he's really positive, and his lovely wife,
Chelsea.
Yeah, they're really positive, and Dwayne's just hoping that after he finishes, I think he's got another 3 series of chemotherapy to undergo for his leukemia. He's hoping once he's had those, he'll have it beaten. But yeah, he looked very well, and it was a very nice touch because it was Leongatha had that as their yellow ribbon day for raise funds for cancer, and the senior and reserve sides formed that guard of honour where he walked through onto the ground to do the toss for the senior game. And it was really, really nice. And then we also spoke with Bo Vernon, who's coming along well, chirpy, and I think most people in the league would have caught up with Bo this year, because I don't think he's missed many matches, if any. And the good news there, he's sort of positive again. He's going to start his business accounting studies again shortly, and
He's actually started. He actually started at RMIT in the city, and he actually lives in Hughesdale. They gave us the wrong address there, but it's actually Hughesdale, and he's getting, he gets on the train there and heads in, and it's just fantastic. Look, we wish Dwayne Holt and his lovely wife Chelsea all the best, because it's terrible news that they received early in the year, but as we say at the moment, it's positive. They're doing very well, and they're very positive. But Bo Vernon, he's a fantastic guy. I think if you want to give anybody some oomph in their life, this guy's he's a quadriplegic out of an incident in our league, and his positive attitude is just absolutely sensational, and we just hope all the best for you, mate, and I hope you get everything done, and I think you'll end up being a real example to people about having a positive attitude and getting on with your life.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that sort of impressed me, and it impresses me most of the time associated with football, was the football family and how it sticks together and supports people, and I think we're seeing that with both Dwayne and Bo, and it's really great, and I'm sure they appreciate it.
Yeah, and I think the only disappointing aspect out of the whole lot, I spent a bit of time with Darryl, as you know, and he's with that injury to Casey over in the Geelong League, only 28% of clubs have taken up the full insurance, which unfortunately, it just seems unbelievable that the other 72% haven't taken it upon themselves to give their players that top cover. So all I can say to those clubs is have a look at the whole thing about it, fellas. You need to cover those players, because when an injury does happen, and I mean seem to be running at 1 or 2 a year at this current rate. And for those extra few dollars you've got to raise to cover them for $1 million, I think you're silly not to take out that cover.
It's about the player payment for one reasonable player for one match, isn't it? So it's not funny. I was just astounded the AFL didn't make it compulsory. Clubs will run the risk, but if they've given no option.
Yeah.
It's there.
But anyway, with that'll concludes our forecast for round 15, and we'll be back next week for round 16. Thank you, Keith, and thank you, cameraman.